2022 season 4 round 5 of the Spec Racer Forward here with the Weekend Warriors presented by Ray Esports, and we are at the Charlotte Roval. I'm Randall McGrew. I'll be joined here in the commentary booth shortly by Daniel Zippy Salmon. This is a very tough track to tame here at the Charlotte Roval. Spec Racer Forward is going to be taken to it. We've seen some interesting paces during qualifying or during practice, and we're now joined the group during qualifying as we are on board with that appears to be somebody going off track. We got a lawnmower out here at the Charlotte Roval. Daniel, what do you expect to see today?
I'm expecting to see a couple of cars actually taking flight. In all honesty, some of the curbs here can be pretty aggressive, but let's try and find one of the drivers who are about to start a fresh lap. That looks like Antonio Reese, perhaps? No, that's not Antonio Reese. Let's try and find a driver there. Here, Randall, give me 1 second here. I do apologize for the delay, ladies and gentlemen. We just had to reset the route about as well as we went live, so not exactly what we had in mind. Let's try Adam Thompson.
We're going to go on board with Adam Thompson. That is a dodgy prospect to see him
very fair,
on the
very
back
fair.
straight. On the back straight, in a little bit of traffic here. We're going to be taking this bus stop chicane. He's very liberal use of the apexes there. Doesn't want to get on those curbs quite yet. Maybe still trying to get some temperature in the tires. We're going to see him jump out of line here, try to build up some pace, and hopefully he's going to take a stab at a flying lap, maybe waiting for another car to get past. I'm going to dip back down onto the racing line. Going to come into that final section of the track. This little chicane. See, he's running. Oh, he runs a little bit too much curve there. You want to avoid that. And then you're going to keep to the right, open up this entry for Heartburn turn 1. You want to get a nice little bit of a late apex there because the track really tightens up. You're going to have a flowing left-hander. You're going to try to sacrifice a bit of exit to stay over to the left to open up the double right-hander here. Going to blend out, then blend it back down to that apex. Get a decently late apex, and then not out wide. The white line here is completely imaginary when it comes to the rules. We have some tricky track limits here. We'll get into that more in the lap. This turn 6 here, one of the trickiest corners on the track. Easy to overdrive it and find yourself understeering way out. Gonna keep open up here on the run on the oval. Need to keep 2 wheels to the right of that yellow line there on the inside. Gonna run all the way up to the wall and then use the slope to run down and get a little bit more momentum. Hugging that blue and white line, they are allowed to cross it with 2 wheels and 2 wheels only. So as long as they keep 2 wheels to the right, they're fine. Blend out to the right. Gonna brake here for the bus stop, just about that 2 board. And then depending on setup, some drivers are gonna be really aggressive over those curbs. Others will not. Looks like Adam choosing just to kiss the red and white. I've seen some of the faster drivers have a bit more of a softer setup on the front end, are able to really clobber those big blue curbs. And Adam Thompson not appearing to run that setup as it comes to the final chicane. Gonna blend all the way over to the left. Some drivers putting 2 wheels over that line even. And then he's really taken a lot of liberty with that final curb, manages to keep it just out of the wall and doesn't pick up that 0x. So that should be a good lap time for Thompson. Currently sitting 14th with a 128.677.
Well, it's definitely very, very interesting here. I do apologize for what's going on the stream, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying everything I can on my end, and it looks like we're getting a little bit of variance in the network, which makes absolutely no sense. I mean, everything should be good here, ladies and gentlemen. So keep enjoying the lovely voice of Randall McGrew while I try and look into that for you. At this point, I'm pretty much along for the ride, but I'll do everything I can to get this stream back up and back on top-notch quality.
Right now, we have Marco Pinero leading the way at the 127.498. Only 2 drivers have broken through the 128 barrier. The other one is Sul Ashtui with a 127.929. Then Bobby West currently hitting in 3rd place with a 128.091. Jason Green, who was definitely up there in the leaderboards on the Formula Ford race earlier, sitting now in 4th place with a 128.150. Then behind him, Joshua Wilkie on the provisional Spec 2 pole with a 128.222. So pretty fast times out of some of these drivers. A really fast time out of Joshua Wilkie. You have to look all the way back, way back to 14th place to find P2 and Spec 2 in the form of Adam Thompson. So right now, looking like a good starting spot for Wilkie to see if he can translate that into a good race run. Pit entry here is a little tricky too. You're going to see some drivers that are going to be coming in on that oval 3 and 4 and coming down a little bit early in order to get out of the way. They are allowed to cross all 4 wheels over if they are entering the pits. They're in oval 3 and 4. So you see some drivers are going to dip down to get a nice clean entry. Some drivers might wait either to sell the dummy or just to try to maximize their time and speed on that pit entry. But if you have a car right behind you, it could be a exceptionally risky prospect and could see you inheriting some damage from behind. Right now, Marco Panero still leading the way with a 127.498, and he's nearly half a second ahead of Sul Ashtui. So we'll see if he's able to make that pace be quick enough in the race to open up a gap over Sul, or if the slipstream, which is exceptionally powerful around this track, will keep Sul in contact. Still looks like we are debugging some technical issues, but the stream bitrate looks like it's pretty steady right now. So
I'm looking, sorry ladies and gentlemen, if you look at my screen a second, Randall, I'm getting a load of hits there. I'm not sure why. I can pop this screen up if you can see something in here. There you go, there's a warning for it. Anything you can suggest, sir?
Nothing that comes to mind immediately. It looks like maybe just some throttling on the internet possibly happening to our producer. So we're going to bring you commentary as if it is still really, really good. I would change that encoder preset maybe to very slow. Slowest, best quality. Or sorry, let's try the other way, fastest. The P1, there you go. We're gonna try to mess around with the encoder, see if we can get a little bit performance out of this potato, but right now it doesn't seem like I'm talking to nobody.
Oh, I'm here and I'm listening, Randall, but honestly,
Okay.
I'm not too sure because like the internet's fine. So something's going on my end. I've checked all my processes and stuff like that. Literally, I've gone in, checked the task manager. Nothing is taking up the network. And, you know, we're doing everything usual here in the house on this side. But we are going to try and provide you a grid in just a second.
We have about 40 seconds left in qualifying, waiting for everybody to complete their laps. We have a few more still out on track right now. Simon Mayer, chief among those, currently sitting P6, trying to improve his position. Stevie Racel out there in the 911 entry in 24th, going to maybe try to get one more hot lap in with him, and we'll see the results of those. Andrea Favini right now on track. We're showing him as not setting a time, 39th on the grid, so that's going to be a travesty for Favini if he's not able to set a good lap time. That number 27 entry, typically one of the favorites to be challenging for the win. Now he's going to have a big task in front of him with a lot of drivers between him and the front of the pack. So keep your eye on Favini as he tries to make his way through the crowd. Let's see if he can do so cleanly. Jörg Manny also not setting a time. Now we have your grid for the Charlotte Roval round 5 here. Marco Panero on pole position with a 127.498, nearly half a second behind him. Sul Ashtui in second place. Bobby West in third place. Jason Green in fourth. On the third row, Joshua Wilkie on your Spec 2 pole, starting alongside Simon Mayer. P7 is going to see Ching Zhong with all the way up on the fourth row. In eighth place, Adam Thompson with a 128.447 manages to improve there in the closing stages. Daniel Wood starting in ninth place. Yuanchi Lin starting in 10th place. Kurt Nunez in 11th. Flavio Andalo starting P12.
As we have a look at 13th, you can see there is Hayden Bramley. He's quite a way back today. I actually would expect a fair bit more. Joshua Justice takes 14th with Adam Bradshaw there in 16th alongside Joseph Tarantino. Jason Perry is there in 17th with Tom Gradwell in 18th. Joachim Osbeck there in 19th. We saw his debut event last time round with Sergio Girelli alongside in 20th. As we see Scott Russell there in 21st. Brad Kadkar in 22nd with Jeff Jacobson in 23rd. And Stevie Ray, the man himself, in 24th.
The 25th is going to see Paulo Brame. Normally see him a little bit further up the grid, so he's got some work to do today, starting alongside Paul Jackson, who we saw doing a little bit of groundskeeping as we came live. 27th, Charles Vaccaro, and next to him in 28th, Guido Martucci in that Captain Lawrence Brewing Racing entry. or sorry, no, Guido is the Fox Anderson Racing Team, otherwise known as FART. Michelle Lind is starting 29th with Alex Van Lingenham next to her. Stephen Healy in 31st with Mario Kremser in 32nd. 33rd, Gary Wobble with Joshua Flores in 34th. Michelle Viglini in 35th with Wayne Buttermore starting 36th.
As we have a look, 37th has got George Gonzalez with Jörg Manny alongside in 38th. Andrea Favini, the Swedish driver who often likes to start at the back of the grid. He's there in 39th. And I've got to say, what a fantastic start as well as you had them all lined up on that front straight. Russell Talcott, it's good to see him back. He's there in 40th with Jason Grider in 41st. And David Tomaski rounds out the grid in 42nd. What an absolutely humongous field here today at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
If you're starting at the very back of the grid, even though you're 2x2, there's 20 cars between you and that front row. So a lot of ground to make up if you're starting at the back. Going to be a lot of traffic on a track that can be pretty tough to pass at and sometimes. The infield section can be very tricky if you're caught in traffic. Find yourself offline, especially that turn 6. You can find yourself running wide and spit off into the grass before you know it. Right now, Marco Pinero leading the way behind the pace car. We'll see if he decides to go early or keep everybody bunched up into that final chicane. Any final thoughts, Zippy, on what we're going to see out of this start?
Well, I honestly think that these guys are pretty professional, and I can see it going very, very well in terms of, you know, if you get away and get a bit of a break. But the draft is something that these guys are very much going to have to keep in mind. You know, it is a huge part of this track and a huge part of the Spec Racer Fords as well. So you got to decide, really, you know, how hard do you want to fight the guy alongside you, or do you want to try and work together and try and make your way up through the field?
Teamwork can be the name of the game here. Slipstream going to be extremely powerful right now. They're coming through ovals turn 1 and 2. They use most of the oval on this track. They really kind of cut out the short chute between the dog leg and oval turn 1 to cut down into the infield, then come back out nearly where they went in right into oval 1 as they now enter the oval back straight. This is going to be a prime passing opportunity. You see a big setup in the slipstream, maybe get the preferred line or try to pass around the outside through that bus stop chicane. We're going to see a difference of setup, going to cause a difference in racing line through this bus stop chicane. We see Marco Pinero already clipping that curb, making sure he's leaving enough room on the outside. As they make their way back up onto the oval and start to enter oval turn 3, we'll see the pace car dip off here as they approach the end of oval turn 4, and then the pack will be in Marco Pinero's hands. We'll see exactly when he decides to go. That last chicane that was really going to break up drivers is we have a mass exodus here. Now they all returned. That last chicane is really going to spread out drivers early on and may even see some incidents before people even officially start the race. Pace car thinking about dipping in is now moving down and going to take to the safety of pit lane. Marco Pinero leads the pack into the final chicane. When will he go? I suspect it'll be pretty late. He still keeps the pack nice and backed up, and he's going to go for it there. Coming into the chicane, going to easily have the lead here and going to try to establish a gap as early as possible. He's got one already, nearly 0.7 of a second as they make their way into Heartburn turn. Marco Pinero leads the way over Slash 2. We see him 2 wide back here in the pack, 3 wide going into turn 1. This could be disastrous. So far, it's so good, though. They managed to get it sorted out without any contact. Cold tires here could be very dangerous. We're going to see if anybody has any struggles through this infield section. But right now, looks like so far so good. Not really seeing anybody dipping down the leaderboard yet as if they had an incident. We have, Marco Pinero runs wide in turn 6, ends up in the grass. Big implications for this race. Marco Pinero gives up the lead to Solis Tui and is now falling into the clutches of Bobby West. Bobby moving left and right, does not want to cut across that line too much. Now going to pull back into that slipstream and try to get the move done into the chicane.
Well, what a very, very colourful start. The cold tires definitely getting the better of Marco Pinero, which is a bit of a shame as he pulled out such a fantastic lead. But now Sul Awushli, he is up there and ahead, currently about 7/8 of a second ahead of this pack. You can already see the pack starting to split up, very, very slightly as it goes between. Oh dear, I've got a warning. Joseph Tarantino has crashed. Scott Russell has crashed.
We have 2 drivers dipping down as Zippy pointed out. We're going to see what happens here. They're now coming through. Looks like ovals 3 and 4. No, sorry, ovals 1 and 2. They're coming onto the back straight. We see a little bit of movement there, trying to decide what line everybody's going to take. Eventually, we're going to get to the bus stop chicane where I'm guessing this all unfolds. See Bradshaw leading the way there. The Spider-Man car runs a little bit wide there on entry and has to come back at a pretty sharp angle. There's a little bit of contact there. It's hard to see who's really to blame there.
Oh!
Then Tarantino is going to come back across and collect the, looks like the 7-up entry there. And so a little bit of collateral damage, heavy damage to Tarantino's car.
Yeah, that Spider-Man car would be Jason Perry, I believe, and Scott Russell would have been the other person who ended up just being collateral damage in that incident. Definitely not what we had in mind, but there is battles going on all over the grid, ladies and gentlemen. My timing screen right now is filled with red, ladies and gentlemen, and that is not red of fury. It is red of intensely close racing. As we look further back, you see Wan Shi Lin. He's trying to make a move there on Adam Thompson as he goes down the inside. Now the bus stop is a very, very brave corner as Thompson slides. Oh, he's rolled it.
Thompson.
Oh!
Adam Thompson makes the prophecy come true. We see him going barrel rolling across.
Oh, there's
the
another
bus
one
stop.
over there.
Comes in a little hot there and slides across that big curb, causing his car to roll over sideways. And now we're just waiting for him to stop throwing up and get rolling again. We're going to take a look at Jeff Jacobson here, maybe with some issues as well. I think he came in and saw this carnage happen and decided to check up and maybe got some contact from behind. No, just runs a little bit wide there, then has to check up on the apex, which causes him to oversteer. Looks like he got some front end damage there, so maybe made some contact with the car ahead. I think maybe that was Jason Perry ahead of him, who he ended up making some heavy contact with.
Well, it's definitely been a very colourful race as Thompson is limping that car back to the pits. We're going to try and leave him alone. You can see Hayden Bramley there. He's out. There is battles all over the field right now. Let's take a quick look up front. As you can see there, Marco Pinero has managed to regain the lead away from Sul Ashlutswi. My apologies there, Saul. And you can see there, not quite able to break the draft. Right behind, you got Bobby West. He's fighting the expectant father himself, sharing something there with Mr. Thompson, as Jason Green is currently sat in 4th with Wilkie in 5th, and Simon Mayer right up on the rear fuselage of that Spec Racer Ford. You can see them fighting it out very, very hard. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a good place to try and make a pass. No, that goes for Wilkie as well. Contact. Simon Mayer over-rotates, trying to avoid it. Oh my gosh, the bus stop claiming a lot of victims today.
Right, that's a big implications there as well for Wilkie, who was leading Spec 2, now is dropping down, and it looks like Adam Bradshaw, no, not Adam Bradshaw. Who's going to inherit the Spec 2 lead now? It's going to be Joaquim Otzbeck, who is up 7 spots in 12th place overall. Now your Spec 2 leader going to come out the winner with that little kerfuffle, and I think while we were watching that, I saw out of the commentary booth Kurt Nunez with a bit of a spin coming off turn 4, so maybe catching too much of that curb. We see some drivers sticking their nose in where maybe it doesn't quite belong into a door that's always going to close. I think that's what happened there in the bus stop. So hopefully as these drivers get more spread out, we'll see fewer incidents. But we have some close racing here between Daniel Wood and Joshua Justice. Daniel Wood giving him a little shot to the rear, trying to say, get on with it, Joshua. We need to get going. But he's falling now to Adam Bradshaw, who's on the outside for this corner. Not going to have a good run, but setting up a good spot here as they get back onto the oval. Maybe going to get a good slipstream and take advantage of that, make a move into the bus stop, or it could end in heartbreak like we've seen so many times so far already.
Well, the curbs, we were getting warned by Adam Thompson earlier about how the curbs, if you had the right setup, you could definitely send it over them quite a bit. But myself, I've always generally tried to avoid them. Certainly a little bit of a risky move. You see Joshua Justice and Daniel Wood and Adam Bradshaw as well, all taking a little bit of curb there. Now, we know the Spec Racer Ford will very quickly, it doesn't have that much suspension travel. So these guys very keenly fighting. As we take a look at Simon Mayer, now he's going to try and make a recovery drive. That's Jason Perry alongside him in the Spider-Man car. Perry, who's definitely had a little bit of contact so far this race. Mayer had a little bit of a spin there when Justice had that little bit of an incident, but battles going on throughout the field. Cheng Zong and Wan Shi Lin. Now these guys, actually no, that's Hayden Bramley and Cheng Zong, sorry. So Cheng Zong recently joined the Weekend Warriors and is currently under pressure from a little bit of a do or die driver, of Hayden Bramley.
Hayden Bramley is not a driver I'd want to see in my rearview mirror. Not that I'm more worried that he's going to run me over, just that he's going to be applying constant pressure until he gets around me. And you got to really think if he's that close, eventually he will get around. It's going to be hard to defend against that driver for a very long time. And we're only 6.5 minutes into this race. So you have to consider maybe letting him go and following and letting him pull you forward might be the best way to go here. But it does seem like Chang Zheng got a much better run onto the ovals. We're going to jump back here. We see some drivers coming out of turn 4. It's like Brad Cathcart fighting with another driver ahead. But coming up to turn 6, Cathcart looking a little bit wide there, and entry misses the apex, runs wide, and then gets collected there. Was that Jason Perry involved in another incident? Jason Perry seems to have that super electromagnet equipped in that car and turned up to full power right now. Incidents are attracted to him like flies to honey.
Well, he's definitely getting in a couple of collisions, and I don't by any means think they would be intentional as I'm looking through, just trying to pick the battle to go out. As we see here, that's Jason Green and Wan Chi Lin. Looks like Wan Chi is going to send it up on the inside, gets that move done. Jason Green choosing not to make too much of a battle on that occasion. Wan Chi Lin, definitely some of the best sportsmanship I've ever seen when it comes to racing. You know, if an incident does occur, he very quickly stops safely and gives the position back. You see there fighting as well. You look at a little bit further back, you got Cheng Zhong and Hayden Bramley. Looks like Hayden was able to get by, but I don't think this battle is over yet. It's a 126 car of Cheng Zhong is having a little peek up the inside, not quite able to get it done. What about further back in the field as we see Sergio Girelli? He's having a little bit of a battle with Jason Perry. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, battles all over the field here today in the Weekend Warriors.
This is one of those tracks where it just breeds constant fighting. It's not easy to establish a rhythm because you're always dealing with some sort of traffic. The nature of this layout really draws everybody back together. Hard to establish a gap. We saw how much faster Marco Pinero was over Sul Ashtui. Sul's now dropped back to third, so it looks like maybe an incident up front, or Sul Ashtui maybe making a mistake in the bus stop has given Bobby West second place, so that gap up to Marco Pinero is 1.3 seconds. As we keep with this battle, Charles Vaccaro leading the way. Ooh, it looked like who is that there in the middle? Possibly got a little bit of contact there with Sergio Dinelli. A little bit of contact there coming off the bus stop with Jason Perry right there behind him. So this trio making their way through that final chicane now. We'll see how this battle shakes out as they approach turn one.
Contact!
There was a lot of curb, a little contact with the wall that caused him to come down. It's a bit of rear bumper contact there from Sergio as well. So that they both got very, very lucky there. Charles Vaccaro easily could have been ended up into the infield section, coming in hot, manages to keep it going in the right direction, but a little bit of contact, you have to wonder if there's some damage to that right front where he smacked the wall.
We're going to take a quick look to see exactly what happened to Stephen Healy here. I was keeping an eye, getting ready to find a time when to switch to this battle. You can see there, he's going to try and make a move up on the inside of turn 1. And yeah, just got a little bit of a rotation with a little bit of help as well. Not really anything he could do at this point, and it's fair to say, you see that Spec Racer Ford very heavily damaged and very keen to try and get out the way. He's currently on the racing line at that point, so not what Healy was looking for to happen. I see there's quite a lot of incidents happening throughout the field. Let's have a look a little bit further back. Check up on Joshua Wilkie now. He's trying to make a recovery drive. He's got Paul Jackson behind him. Guido Marzuki, great to see him here. Not only stepped up from the Formula Vs, but he is very, very quick in that car. Definitely saying podiums, but now he's expanded his vocabulary, ladies and gentlemen, to the Spec Racer Ford. So his first event here, as he's currently leading ahead of Paolo Breme. Both of these Italian drivers sticking together. And actually, Paolo Breme was the one who gave Stephen Healy just a few moments ago that little nudge. You can see the damage on the front of that car as well.
Apollo Breme, really a victim of circumstance in that case. Didn't have anywhere to go. Had left plenty of room on the inside, and that car just slid up in front of him. It's unfortunate for Apollo. He's taken a little bit of damage. I'll see Daniel Wood now dropping down the order as he is in pits. Come to pit lane. Oh, big contact there. Another incident in front of Apollo happens. That was Guido getting it wrong in turn 1. It looks like possibly unassisted. We'll see as he comes through that final chicane up to the start-finish straight. keeps it out of the wall just fine there. Is he going to come in a little hot into heartburn turn? It looks like it. Yeah, he gets a big wiggle, tries to catch it, isn't able to do so. Gets into that old tough area, and there he was just parked in a very dangerous spot. Somebody not really keeping their eyes down track, possibly involved in a battle, was taking away his focus. Was that Joshua Flores that came storming in? It absolutely was. We're going to see what happens with Joshua Flores here. We're going to jump to cockpit view, see how much of a view he had. He could see a little bit there, but he had a car to the inside, and yeah, just didn't know what to do with it. Kind of panicked there. Not a lot of inputs, and just slid right into the stricken car. Heavy damage for both cars. That's going to be the end of the day for both of them.
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of collateral damage here. As you see, Joshua Justice, he's having a fight. And it looks like, there's going to be a move up on the inside of Simon Mayer. He's got up on the inside of Joshua Justice. He's going to have the inside move onto turn 1. Shuts the door on Justice. Justice, a little bit of a nudge there, perhaps. Definitely a little bit of contact. You can see the damage on the front of Justice's car. Mayer trying everything he can to get ahead. If you look behind, there you go, the right front fuselage of that Spec Racer Ford. Definitely showing a little bit more tire than desired in its natural setting.
Mayer there with a very opportunistic move, gets the move done into turn 1, and then gets a little tap from behind from Justice. It seems like Justice came off the worst for wear there. Now we're going to see if Mayer has anything for Osbeck ahead of him. But right now, Simon Mayer down 4 spots from where he started. Let's give a little bit of an update to those that started in the back that are trying to make their way up. Right now, in 15th place is the likes of Jörg Manny in the Masters P3, up 23 spots from where he started. Amazing stuff. And then 3 spots back in 18th, we see Andrea Favini. We've seen him making some moves so far, pretty clean, up 21 spots from where he started. So both these drivers doing a really good job of getting through the field. Jörg in the top 15 already. Andrea Favini only a couple of laps away from it.
I definitely think there could have been some strategy here in taking that pit lane start. As you see, Favini starting to apply some pressure to the one of the successful S2 drivers here. And a little bit biased, I will admit, Joshua Wilkie there, who definitely did not have... Oh, no! I see Hayden Bramley moving around very rapidly in the order, but I'm not entirely sure why. Let's have a quick look, see... I see there's a Guido Marzuki crash, Breslau crash. Let's see if I can get you an update on as to what is happening there.
He and Jason Green have both taken to the pit lane. So coming in for service pretty early here. Normally we have Stevie Ray playing the Pied Piper of pit strategy. We have not seen him. Oh, yes, we have seen him come into the pits. Correction, Stevie Ray has come into the pits, which means that the pit window is officially open. He is normally the first one to come in. Jason Green also joining the pit lane. Now he coming in on lap 9. Hayden Bramley also on lap 9. You see Daniel Wood came on lap 7. So we have a few drivers that are pitting early, possibly trying to get out of traffic, but you have to wonder, are they going to end up not only back in traffic, but with slower traffic?
That is definitely, I was literally just wondering that as well. These guys being very, very conscious of the track limits. And we're currently on board with Jeff Jacobson, who is looking to chase down Jörg Manny. So Jörg currently in P3, and you can see that draft having an absolutely huge effect. And Jeff Jacobson choosing not to fight Manny. He's more keen to try and move them both up the road to Adam Bradshaw. So Adam Bradshaw currently about 6 seconds ahead of Manny, and we've definitely seen this bus stop catch a few of the cars unawares. But these guys both very, very seasoned in the Weekend Warriors, trying everything they can. So we know that Jeff Jacobson looking to try and close the gap on the leaders further ahead.
That lead out the very front, as we see Favini and Jacobson fighting here. Or sorry, Favini and Wilkie going to dive into the pits. Favini going to inherit that spot easily without much fighting. Behind him now, Jason Green. We see a couple more drivers coming into pit lane. Looks like Jason Perry going to come in for service, as a few more drivers come in behind. Is that Kurt Nunez possibly behind? Yes, Kurt Nunez into the pit lane as well. Russell Tucker here at the tail end of this field, this little battle. Sorry, not the field, the tail end of this battle. In a good position if there's any mistakes ahead to get a few free spots. Michelle Lynn feeling the pressure from Steve Healy. We saw Steve Healy involved in one of those incidents very early on in the race, now trying to do a recovery run. But he's got to get around Michelle Lynn before he can get any more spots. The car ahead is Guido Mazzucci and is not involved in this. I'm sorry, that's not Guido Mazzucci. That's Daniel Wood, who is involved in this. Eventually, I will learn how to read this overlay properly. Apparently, it's just not going to be today.
It's okay. Honestly, Randall, there is so much happening in this race right now. If I go up the road, it looks like Paul Jackson, he's having a fight there with Hayden Brownlee. You can see Hayden on the inside. In some ways, I do thank these guys for having such a great variety of paint jobs. You know, Hayden Brownlee, very recognizable in that Asda Price car. You see the 555 ahead of him. That's going to be lapped traffic for them, I believe. That is, that's Paulo Breme, who shows us the same
that's
lap.
Still for position. That's still for position. So,
My
and
apologies.
Paulo is not an easy customer to get around, so Hayden Bramley gonna have his hands full if he doesn't decide to dip into pit lane, maybe get it done on pit strategy. No, he's gonna stay out. Paul Jackson pretty much surrendered that spot coming out of Oval 2 to Hayden Bramley to try to follow him, but Hayden's showing a lot of pace. Now gonna make the inside move on Paulo ahead, gonna get the move done before they get to turn 1 easily. So he had a very good run out of that final apex. Maybe some of that damage from that earlier incident, making Paulo have a little bit of trepidation coming through that final. We see big wiggle there on brakes going into the turn 3 out of Hayden Bramley. Back to what I was saying about Paulo, maybe that damage causing a little trepidation on some of these curves, but Hayden, you're gonna fight back with Hayden on the inside of turn 6. The preferred line gonna cause Hayden Bramley to go a little bit wide, but he's got enough speed to keep it to the inside. Now going to have the run up onto the oval pretty easily in hand. Keeps 2 wheels to the right of that yellow line, completely inbounds, and now has the run onto the oval. We'll see if Paulo's able to close this up enough to make a challenge into the bus stop. Right now, not closing very quickly, but the further they go, the faster he's going to start closing. Is he going to look to the inside? He's showing the nose, but not going to be close enough to make the move. So trying to keep the pressure there on Bramley. Try to force a mistake. He's running pretty wide, so definitely wants to stay away from those curves. I don't know if that's a setup choice, possibly a damage, or if he's just really struggling to keep that car on the racing line.
Well, I do wonder if Paulo Brame should try and take the earlier pit stop strategy. You can see the fuselage of that car is definitely a little bit damaged there. And that is going to affect the fuel calculations as well. As we look a little bit further back, we still got this battle going on with Russell Telker, Michelle Lynn, and Stephen Healy. These guys in a pack of 3 right now for 20th, 21st, and 22nd, respectively. See a lot of curb there. And that's a little bit of a graze there from the 655 of Stephen Healy. And that has opened the door for Michelle Lynn. She's able to sneak on by. You see Telker in the background looking to try and capitalize on that, but not yet able to get the move done.
So Michelle Lynn had surrendered that spot to Healy. Healy had made his way around and then gets it wrong on the exit of that final chicane into the wall, puts Michelle Lynn back at the front of this little trio. Daniel Wood ahead, kind of running away here, about a 3 1/4 second gap, while these drivers try to figure out who's going to lead the rest of these. In that turn 6, I can tell you from experience with many cars, it is hard to get right, easy to get wrong. Michelle Lynn loses a little pace there coming out of turn 6, manages to get it back together on the run into the oval. And we're going to jump back here. We have Bobby West in second place, feeling the pressure from behind, going to get overtaken. Is that Yanchi Lee making a move on the outside? Bobby West a little bit off pace there in the oval, so possibly not best run in that bus stop, or even could have been a slowdown. He surrenders 2 spots, so going to drop back to 4th place.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of battling happening further up through the field. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. We are just trying to do everything we can to catch them all. We almost need, at this point, with this level of racing, you're going to want to have 2 streams going at this point. But certainly, you know, there is only so much we can do here at any one time. As it looks like Jeff Jacobson, they're going at it as well. And that's Jason Green getting in the mix now. Jacobson and Green having a fight there, trying to get that 12th position.
The Green has already come in for pit service, and Jacobson has not. So Green eager to get this move done as quickly as possible. This is really going to be costing him time, being stuck behind Jacobson. Definitely the faster car in this pair is Green, as we see Jacobson running wide. Going to kind of, I'm not sure if he intentionally gave up that spot or not, but he's going to end up giving up another spot to the number 27 of Andrea Favini, who has also not come into pits yet. Started at the back of the field, up 26 spots in 13th. 2 cars ahead of him. Jörg Manny up 27 spots. Jason Green's trying to track down Jörg right now. A bit of a gap ahead. Both these drivers very impressive so far in the race, managing to keep their cars clean. Maybe a little bit of damage there on the right front of Favini. Gonna have to wonder if that is from car contact or possibly just from the curves, because he's running a lot of that curb.
Well, as I have a look, so Jason Green If I look at his lap times, his best lap time right now is a 128.1. Jörg Manny, we know, is definitely not a slouch either. His best lap time now, currently a 129.4. So in theory, Jason has a 1.3 second advantage to Jörg Manny on paper, but that is only one thing. You know, he's got to be able to catch up. Maybe Jörg's not had necessarily the cleanest opportunity to get away, but as I say that, looking ahead of him, he's got open track. So realistically, you know, is it the opposite way around? Has Green been stuck in traffic and that draft really helping nail that absolutely like huge difference of a best lap? You know, we're going to have to keep an eye on it. Their last laps as well, very, very closely matched. Only about 2 or 3 attempts in it, as I see something has happened to Wayne Buttermore.
Let's see what happened exactly here with Wayne. We see him running wide in turn 6. So far, other than running wide, looks to be okay. A little bit better. Oh, it looked like if I didn't know better, it looked like a suspension failure there coming into that cut through, and then manages to clip the wall, and now definitely going to have some suspension damage. So you have to wonder exactly what transpired there in Wade Buttermore's house. So he just runs this. Yeah, this understeers, maybe possibly a temporary disconnect from him or something hardware related that caused him to fail and then go out into the wall like that, because he had the wheel turn and it looked like the brakes just kind of locked up on him. So not exactly sure what caused that, but Buttermore going to suffer some pretty heavy damage, and the way he had that wheel turned, definitely going to have some suspension damage. That car is not going to be very fun to drive right now. Jörg Manny, 13th place, up 25 spots. Andrea Favini has gotten around him, so Andrea Favini now your biggest mover in 12th place, up 27 spots. Some very impressive stuff, but you have to wonder, how did that gap appear between Manny and Favini?
I was just wondering that right now, as well. So something's obviously gone on. Manny's
at this point is already behind Favini, so it would have happened already. So he lost 2 spots to Jason Green and Favini. Off some mistake, possibly. It's tough to say. We kind of missed it. We're trying to search for it, but we're not seeing it. So running wild. Oh, he had a slowdown. That is definitely a slowdown. So he would have gotten a slowdown in that bus stop chicane, and now trying to serve it, and had to give up so much time to do that.
Definitely a very expensive mistake, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, Jörg Manny, he's made his way up 25 spots. Andrea Favini, the car ahead of him, 27 spots. But, you know, at the minute, the biggest thing I'm seeing right now is attrition, ladies and gentlemen, and trying to keep that car as clean as possible. As I do apologize again, I'm not sure what's happening with the stream, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a look a bit more after the race. Certainly, definitely something I'm wondering if it's network related, as I'm checking the vitals of the PC and everything is flagging up good. So anybody who's in the chat who's got some suggestions on how I can fix that on the fly, please by all means let me know.
You say on board with Jörg Manny. I'd like to point out, we haven't talked much about the overall lead. Marco Pinero still leading the way over Yanxi Lin, and that gap has been pretty steady for about 2.2 seconds. Yanxi Lin has pulled open a gap on Bobby West a bit, so trying to close that gap down to Marco Pinero ahead. We see Chang Zhong here involved in a battle with Flavio Andallo. Flavio is a name we haven't heard in quite a while, doing really good today in P4, trying to defend it against Chang Zhong, and across the wall we see over in Heartburn Turn some smoke. We have to wonder if somebody got into the wall over there, or maybe just a nice little drift. The tire smoke across the wall, never a good sign.
Well, I do have a couple of crash warnings, so we're going to have a quick look and see exactly what happened. So Russell Telka looked like he'd been able to get by one of those cars there, but does appear to be a little bit too far back. So I'm going to try and take a quick look at Bramley. Okay, Bramley could be, see here, taking a lot of curb. Very, very greedy driver. That's a nudge along the wall. He grazes, and I think this is going to be the smoke we're looking for there, Randall. You can see there, getting there into turn 1, gets a little bit sideways, and yep, there you go. Manages to hold onto it and keep it off the wall. There's the smoke show, ladies and gentlemen.
A pretty good save there out of Hayden Bramley. Not the fastest, a little bit sideways, turns into a lot bit sideways. He locks it down, keeps it out of the wall. That little contact with that wall on the start-finish straight going to cause some damage. You normally have the wheel turned. That typically spells disaster. Probably have some steering damage. We see Chang Zhong still involved in this battle with Flavio Andallo. And it looks like Dorelli into the pit lane. Marco Pinero has come into the pit lane, now is coming out of the pit lane, and that's going to put him out in 5th place. Going to have some lap traffic ahead of him. Looks like Vaccaro ahead and another driver Adam Thompson,
Yeah,
yes,
we know
Ricardo
that
and
pain.
Thompson are both going to be lap drowned out. So hopefully doesn't slow him down too much. That gap up to Chang Zhong, 9.5 seconds. So pretty decent pit stop, 11.67 pit time for Marco Pinero. So not able to save much fuel. We saw Jason Green came into the pits. He was in a pretty good fuel saving position for most of that first stint. He came in with a 10.77 time stopped in pit lane. So hopefully no fuel trouble for Green, but definitely enough fuel in that car for Pinero as he comes back out into P5. Should be in a good position to re-inherit that lead once the pit cycle completely finishes.
Well, definitely a lot happening through this race, ladies and gentlemen. As I see there, Guido Marzuki, he's crashed again and gone off track. We're going to leave him alone. Definitely his debut race. We don't want to really, give him too much of a hard time. As it looks like Cheng Zong, he's just come in the pits as well. He was fighting with Flavio and Dala earlier on, so we're going to see whereabouts he re-emerges. Currently, Wan Chi Lin, he's up front. Bobby West about, we'll say about a second back roughly, ladies and gentlemen. But all sorts of action here. Jason Green is absolutely surrounded by cars. Tom Gradwell ahead. That's for position as it stands right now. Favini behind, Jurgmani behind him. And then that is still El Shutwi right behind them as well. So apparently a big battle going on. Green is going to be keen to try and leapfrog past Bradshaw as quickly as he can as he gets the move done heading into turn 1.
Sula Shui is down in 12th place. Now he's down in 11th because of the pitting Chang Zong, but he's really fallen off the pacer. So you have to wonder if maybe he picked up some damage in an incident that we missed, possibly tagging the wall somewhere. It doesn't really look like anything extremely wrong with that car. So maybe he just punished the tires too much and is now falling down the order, losing some pace. We saw him running a little bit wide there in the bus stop chicane just before Chang Zong came in.
So, that was contact.
Oh, big contact there. Was that Favini into the wall? That is not good. So far, a pretty clean run up, 30 spots for Favini. Doesn't look like it's affecting the car too much, so that may have been mostly netcode. A little bit of a tap from behind there for Jurgmani, sends him going up the banking. Sulesh Tui there in 11th place on the tail end of this group. He's due to pit soon. So are the two cars ahead of him. Jason Green is already coming to pits. Trouble behind for Ashtui. He is not having a good time out here. He is really struggling with the car in the middle stage of this race. So possibly has done a little damage to those tires, and they are not happy, and he's not sure how to rein it in.
But what I can say, ladies and gentlemen, is he is currently the third highest placed car who has been through the pits. As I say that, it looks like, Pinero's there. He's out in front. Wan Chi Lin, he's just emerged out of the pits, and Bobby West is not far behind him. So currently, I say third. He's now the fourth place car that has done in the pits. There's quite a few out there who are out of order. I say Jurg Manning's probably just, he's in the pits. You can see Hayden Bramley there as well. Hayden not really in this battle for him right now. So Jurg is going to maybe get a little bit of a draft behind Bramley, which could be potentially quite beneficial as long as Bramley can keep it on the track.
I think Bramley is yet to make it to his pit stall. We should see him dip in here shortly in sixth service. Nope. Stand corrected. He has already taken service and is out in front of Jurgmani, as you said. So this lap and next lap, pit lane going to be extremely active here. Maybe possibly stretching it out one more lap. Could be some of these front drivers like Marco Pinero. Sorry, not Marco Pinero. Flavio Andalo looking maybe to possibly stretch this out. Joshua Justice possibly with an opportunity to stretch it out. But right now, Yanxi Lin with a 10.18 pit stop time, and he's not been happy in a slipstream. So possibly going to be some fuel troubles for Yanxi here at the end of the race. We'll see if he has to do any sort of fuel saving. And if not, that was an exceptionally good pit stop out of Yanxi Lin, and he's all over the bumper of Pinero. So that gap gone completely. And he's looking pretty racy, so not really looking to be in a fuel-saving situation right now, Yanxi Lin. And look at that profile picture. That is incredible.
Well, I gotta say, I do wonder if we're gonna have a few people competing for the Thompson Trophy here today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering, basically it means that you've run out of fuel. Not to give Thompson too much of a hard graph there, but I will say this. Both myself, Thompson, and Wilkie are all guilty of this. As you see the car sliding a little bit there, Marco Pinero doing everything he can. But let's be real, is this one of those tracks there, Randall, where, you've got to wonder if there is a tactical pass. Do you want to try and let the guy ahead of you just here so you can then pass them after the bus stop. As we see, that looks like a little bit of lap traffic on the right-hand side, who they are absolutely breezing by. Yeah, that's Jason Grider, so great sportsmanship from him. As we see Wan Chi Lin, he's there. He's going to try and make a move up the inside of Pinero. Is he going to get it done as he heads into the bus stop? He is ahead, but he will have a slower exit. And you can see there, Pinero is very, very hot on the heels, and this is exactly what I was saying, Randall. Is this going to work in the favor of the number 16 machine?
Pinero did not fight for that spot very hard. Let Yanshi go ahead and take it on the inside. They were dealing with some lap traffic, and when I'm in the car, I typically rely on that leader luck. You want to be the first one of any group to catch that lap traffic. Seems that everybody ahead of them now has come into the pits. Yanshi Lin going to inherit the lead as Flavio Andalo finally comes in to get service, as well as does Andrea Favini coming out of, he had worked his way all the way up to 5th place before pitting. So now we'll see where Favini comes out. With Marco Pinero trying to keep in contact here with Yanshi Lin. A little bit of lap traffic in there, and that leader luck playing out in Lin's favor right now. That gap sitting at 7/10. We see Flavio Andalo coming out of the pit lane in that black and green. Fantastic paint job there. Gonna rejoin in at 6th place ahead of Chang Zhang behind Sul Ashtui. So Sul now in 5th place, quite a ways off of where the leaders are. So looks like nearly 20 seconds off the leaders. So he's lost a lot of time when he was challenging for the lead of this race early on.
Well, there is less than 10 minutes left to go, and as I have a look back, it looks like every single person in the field has pit at least once. Some people more than once. I do see there's definitely been a few retirements. Scott Russell, I think, would probably get my biggest sympathy there. He did get taken out in a previous race, so not the best of luck that he's had recently, and I'm certainly sorry to hear that. As we take a look, let's see who's winning S2 right now. That's one of the newcomers here to the Weekend Warriors. It's Washim Ozbek. He's currently P10 overall, up 2 positions from the start, but in a good section of clean air. But I'd say that Adam Bradshaw is right behind him, leading the Masters. But you know, in terms of Ozbek, you know, his nearest competition is all the way back in P17, and that's Joshua Wilkie, the SMB driver there. As for Jörg Manny, however, Adam Bradshaw, however, Jörg Manny is just 2 places back, and it's not like it's a big gap either, ladies and gentlemen. You can see him just in the back of your shot there. He's about 2 cars back, or about 4 seconds. But let's take a quick look here at Wilkie, because he's caught up to the back of Tom Gradwell and looking to try and make one more position up, as they both look like they went quite deep there. Wilkie squirreling around, trying to get by the number 909 machine of Tom Gradwell, currently showing as ahead, but they're going to head down to that chicane. Who's going to go in? It is going to be a battle of wits as they head down to the closing section of the track.
See, Wilkie leaving a lot of space there. It's really going to cause him to still be alongside. He possibly could have been down a little bit tighter and got a bit further ahead on that entry. Gets the move done in the chicanes. No harm, no foul. Looked like Gradwell clipped the exit wall on the bus stop chicane. And we see Slush Tui there clipping that wall again. And it's all the way again there as they get onto the oval. So he is really struggling with the understeer there, it would appear. And that's going to give Flavio Andalo the open door to step through, as so does Chang Zhang. So now we got another battle going here. Is Chang going to make the move? No, just showing the nose, applying that pressure. And yeah, Flavio Andalo gets a bit of a mind punt coming into the bus stop chicane. Comes in just a little bit too hot. Can't quite wrangle it. Gives those spots back. And now we'll be playing catch up.
I had a feeling that we're going to go and try free wide into the bus stop at that point, and definitely would not have suggested it, as we got about 5 minutes left of this race, ladies and gentlemen. You see there, Sul Ashutwi is trying everything he can to get the better of Cheng Zhang, and that's the 260. Is that Russell Telker's car? Or part
that was
of
a
it?
Piece of somebody's car. Yeah, that looked like a green and orange nose. Russell Telker now sitting in pit lane. Looks like nothing good could have come of that. We're going to jump back to what happened with Russell Telker. We see him ahead of another car here, running a bit wide, possibly serving a slowdown. Yeah, it looks like he's serving a slowdown, and then just comes in at a really, really odd angle. Gets that a little bit wide there on the entry to that last chicane, and then Adam Thompson going to be doing one better. We're like, me too. Adam Thompson coming into the wall. Russell Telker going to drive away, trying to bring it back to the pit lane. I wonder if he ultimately tows. Yeah, it looks like he's not able to get that car to whoa up at all. Puts it into the barrier and then tows it back to the pit lane. We're going to jump back to live pictures here with Ashutwi and Zhang. embroiled in a battle on the back straight. Now going to be coming up to the bus stop chicane. We've seen it it seems like almost everybody's gotten this wrong at one point. Chang Zong taking a much more, I don't want to say slow, but placid line through there, avoiding the curves. Sewell is able to carry more speed, but not really able to do anything with it here on the oval, possibly just biding his time. This battle for 5th place is one of the closer ones we have up front, though. Yanxi Lin not able to pull away from Marco Pinero, so don't take your eyes off of that lead battle just yet. They are on lap 25 of 27, so 3 laps to go, or closer to 2.5 laps for these leaders. We'll see if Marco Pinero is able to bring the challenge back to Yanxi here in the closing stages. Right now, sitting about half a second behind.
Well, I did wonder what was going to happen there. I could hear Cheng Zong, Sul Al-Shutwi lifting behind him, but it looks like Pinero has dropped back to about half a second. Let's check in very quickly with Jörg Manny, because he's caught onto the back of... Oh, no, that's Bradshaw gone round. That was the Masters leader, Adam Bradshaw. And we already know from experience that turn 1 is not a place you want to be stopped. We've definitely seen a few casualties there as he falls through the order. Wilkie sneaks by, Mayer sneaks by, Manny sneaks by. So that puts Manny into the lead there of the Masters Series.
Masters win gonna be decided here very, very late in the race. Bradshaw got a little bit of damage to the rear of that car, so it looks like he backed into the barriers possibly. Got it going back in the right direction. Got to keep your foot in it, though. Jörg Manny has plenty of time to make a mistake similar to that, so he could be back into this fight anytime. He's got to hold off the likes of Jeff Jacobson. We have Mario Kremitz there involved as well. He is a lap down, but Tom Gradwell all over the back of Adam Bradshaw right now, and they have a 2.5-second gap ahead of them to Wilkie. So not much reinforcement in the way of slipstream for Adam Bradshaw. As Gradwell's going to look to the inside, going to make a move into the bus stop. Will he get it done ahead before they get to the curbs, and easily gets it done? Bradshaw playing it pretty safe back there, possibly with a little bit of steering damage. Now has Jeff Jacobson right there on his rear bumper. We'll see if he's able to fend off Jacobson or not. Looks like a bit of steering damage. And you see Jörg Manny coming into the pits. Did not have enough fuel in that car, possibly. Now had to come in again for service and splash and go. No, he's stopped for 8.9 seconds. So not exactly sure what was going on with Jörg Manny. Know for sure that he wasn't able to stretch the fuel out that much. Jörg Manny not wanting for fuel saving. So having to come in for a second bit of service to make the checkered flag here. Going to give the Masters division up to Tom Gradwell now, who still has Adam Bradshaw all over him. So that pass that we saw from Gradwell on Bradshaw into the bus stop ended up being the race for the lead. So Gradwell leading the way in the Masters division behind the Spec 2 leader of Joshua Wilkie. We're going to see if these two can sort it out. They do have Jeff Jacobson there, who's eager to get around both of them, and then the lap car of Mario Kremitz behind them. So how will this shake out?
Well, honestly, it was an absolute gong show there. So Bradshaw very much coming unstuck. Jörg Manny then takes the lead. You think it's all over. It's sadly not. Is it? No! Oh, I thought Jacobson was going to force it free wide then. We've seen some colorful moves there from Jacobson, but Bradshaw able to regain as he hops the curb. This will give a better exit for Gradwell. And you can already see Gradwell looking to take a nose out. Not quite got the momentum yet. If ever there was a time where he needed backup, oh my gosh, this is going to get hairy, ladies and gentlemen. Don't know how that relates in racing, but certainly a beautiful formation shot as they're going around the bank curves. And it is indeed free wide as they head down into that chicane. Bradshaw able to stay ahead. Oh, Jacobson able to just cut it up. And that is a white flag for these guys, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look further up the field. You see Pinero is right on the back of Yanxi Lin, and that, I believe, is the final turn.
Yeah, one more chicane to go. Chicane. Pinero closing up on in ovals 3 and 4, getting the big run. Yanxi going to give him the inside, so how to keep the inside for this final chicane. But Pinero, with a lot of momentum, gets the move completed before they even get there. Going to take the win. Marco Pinero at the last moment comes through. He's going to win this race over Yanxi Lin. Bobby West going to come home in P3. Sula Shutwei and Chang Zong battling here in the closing stages to see who's going to have the inside for the chicane. Right now, Chang Zong giving up the spot. They're going to take the spot and going to be completely ahead. And then Sewell going to be looking to get the run here off the chicane. Not going to get it done. Chang Zong going to take 5th. 6th is going to be Sewell Ashutwi. Flavio and Dallo going to come across in 7th. We got to get back to that battle that we were watching earlier for the Masters when Tom Gradwell is back in front of Adam Bradshaw. We see Joshua Justice. Contact
Murder.
there with Joachim Osbeck. Joshua Justice going to pull it through the grass to take the checkered flag. Joachim Osbeck going to get it going back in the right direction, possibly eventually, as he has some more traffic coming through in that battle with Tom Gradwell and Adam Bradshaw is imminent. It's closing in very quickly
him
right now.
So Wilkie was able to take it at the end as well. Oh my God.
Osbeck not able to get the car going, ends up throwing away the Spec 2 win to Wilkie, who has a recovery run of a lifetime to come back and win Spec 2. Tom Gradwell able to hold off Adam Bradshaw there in the closing stages to get that Masters win. We see the last few drivers coming across the line now. Paulo Brame coming home in 22nd place. What an absolute firework-filled display of racing here today at the Roval. Wow, I don't even know where to start.
I'm going to go for this replay right now. So let's see exactly what happened. As we see there, we got Joshua Justice. He's coming on the inside, just catches the right rear wheel, and gets a really good wheelie action there. And then as he rejoins, a little bit too hot on the power, cooks those rear tires up and does, don't get me wrong, a beautiful donut. But then at that point, I almost think he deliberately stays planted, gets back on the gas. You can see there, Wilkie on your right-hand side, able to just snake that win. You see Bradshaw in the background. Let's try and see if we can catch a replay here of Bradshaw and Gradwell going at it for the Masters. I know he was quite keen on that battle as well.
So we see Bradshaw leading the way here on to the back straight. Gradwell going to have the inside line, a huge run. Absolutely slingshots his way up the inside into the bus stop chicane, gets the move done cleanly. Bradshaw doesn't really have much fight in him there. It looks like going to try to get into that slipstream. We'll see if there's any gamesmanship here with the slipstream or not. Doesn't look like it. Gradwell just going to hold that white line a little bit off and make that car a little bit wider, kind of inviting the inside move. They are allowed to put 2 wheels under the white line, so he doesn't completely cover that off. Then they got this whole kerfuffle going on in front of them. Bradshaw gets onto the throttle pretty early, makes a big whack of the wall there. It doesn't really make much difference to him. The race is over after that anyway. Comes home second in the Masters division, though. A lot of back and forth for that Masters win.
Oh, that was absolutely insane. We just saw such a very, very colorful race in the Formula 1600s. Like, a lot of interesting incidents, and then to see the Masters, it was passed around like a hot potato. So Bradshaw had it, then Manny had it. Manny runs out of fuel. Gradwell goes and gets hold of it for a little while. Bradshaw takes it back, and it was literally it was a game of ping pong in Spec Racer Fords.
Jörg Manny giving up the Masters win after driving through the field like he did here in the closing stages does earn himself the Adam Thompson Award for fuel management after having come in for a second splash of fuel. Still manages to gain 18 spots overall, but not as many as Andrea Favini. Gained 29 spots and finished in the 10th place overall.
That's incredible. But the good news is, ladies and gentlemen, we do have the results up for you here. I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of Randall McGrew.
Marco Pinero, as we saw in that last lap pass, comes home with the trophy for the Alex Kart Racing Raptor team in first place. Yanxi Lin, a good, valiant battle, comes home second. Bobby West in third place. Jason Green, who was one of the early pit stop takers, comes home right where he started in P4. Chang Zong up 2 spots, finishes fifth. Sul Ashtui, who was very, very racy at the beginning of this race, comes home in sixth place. Flavio Andallo, who flew under the radar for most of the race, up 5 spots, finishes in 7th. Daniel Wood in 8th place. 9th place now showing possibly a penalty now being applied. Andrea Favini showing in 9th place, up 30. That's a 3-0, 30 positions to finish ninth. Sergio Dorelli in 10th place, up 10 spots. Joshua Wilkie manages to come home in 11th place with the Spec 2 win, despite that early incident and a little bit of luck. So everything coming up sevens for Joshua Wilkie. In 12th place, Joaquim Osbeck, that unfortunate incident there in the final corner. Tom Gradwell with your Masters win in P13. P14, Adam Bradshaw. 15th, Jeff Jacobson. Brad Cathcart coming home in 16th. Jason Perry manages to finish right where he started in 17th, despite the incident electromagnet equipped in that car. Kurt Nunez comes home in 18th.
Well, I think Perry, with that Spider-Man livery, certainly his senses must have been zinging pretty hard there. As we have a look at 19th, it's Jörg Manny. Definitely a very interesting race for him. Definitely the solid winner of the Thompson Trophy this week, with Paul Jackson behind him in 20th. As we have a look at 21st, Paulo Breme is there with Joshua Justice in 22nd. Definitely not the race ending he was looking for. Stephen Healy again involved in an incident as well. He's in there in 23rd. Stevie Ray, didn't see too much of him today. He was there in 24th. With Gary Robolt in 25th. Charles Vaccaro takes 26th with Alex Van Lingham. He's there in 27th. Mario Kremser, he takes 28th with Simon Mayer in 29th. And Guido Marzucchi in 30th.
31st is Russell Telker. We saw him heavily into the wall there at the finish line earlier in the race, who it provoked a similar move out of Adam Thompson. So Russell Tucker coming home 31st, Michelle Lynn in 32nd, Wayne Buttermore in 33rd, Jason Grader going to come home 34th, 35th, our very own Slow Motions Broadcasting's very own Adam Thompson with David Tomaski, who started last on the field, coming home in 36th place. 37th, going to see Hayden Bramley, who was pretty racy, then had some issues. Joshua Flores coming home 38th, Michelle Viglini 39th, 40th, Jorge Gonzalez, Scott Russell, and Joseph Tarantino going to finish 41st and 42nd, respectively. We saw them out of the race pretty early on.
Well, that was definitely a very, very colorful race, ladies and gentlemen, and certainly nothing that, we expected the curbs were going to be a little bit brutal, but I don't think we quite imagined it being quite like that. But we have been able to catch up. Well, I believe Randall has been able to catch up with Bobby West. That is your third place finisher overall and for S1.
Bobby West coming home P3. Tell us what it was like out there for you today.
Yeah, I'm happy with third place. I can't deny that. But it was a mixed bag, really. Like early on, I wanted to get past Saul because he seemed a bit erratic, like clipping a few walls and stuff. And I thought, we're going to lose Marco here. And then I managed to get past him and lost Marco in the process. So that didn't quite go to plan. But managed to sort of stay in touch, and then Yanji was steaming through, so thought I'm gonna let him pass and follow him to try and catch the gap up. But after the pit stop, the gap was too big, and then I got totally confused with what fuel I had and what I needed to get to the end. So I was so far ahead of fourth. I just tried to make sure I had enough.
Well, it was definitely an interesting start to this race. We saw a lot of shuffling going on up front. As you mentioned, Sula Shui was a little bit erratic, was overdriving possibly a little bit. And then Yanchi Lin, like you mentioned, comes steaming through. What was it like seeing him coming up in your rearview mirror?
I mean, Yanchi's always quick. Like, for someone who doesn't do a lot of racing in this car anymore, as soon as you jump in, he's going to be one of the people to beat. So, when he was there and he closed up, I was thinking, right, let him go and try and see if he can close the gap. And he closed the gap. But I couldn't stay with those two. Between the pair of them, they're a cut above everyone else at the moment. So I will take best of the best definitely this week. I was surprisingly happy with my pace here.
So we did notice that there was two different setups primarily going on the track. There were some people that were really staying away from the curbs. Some people were absolutely clobbering them. It looked like you went for maybe the more safe setup, wasn't really hitting the curves too much. What were they like for you out there today?
I maybe wasn't hitting them quite as much as Jason Green would have been, but no, it was definitely my aim to get over the blue curbs a bit. I played it safe towards the end, maybe. There was a big gap behind, so didn't want to just have a random bounce that throws me off the track, sort of thing. But I think, you need to start using the blue curbs here to get some pace. And Jason's setup and some tips. I wasn't using his setup too far this time, but tips he made about changes. I put in my one from last time we raced it, and it made the curbs much more drivable.
Well, congratulations on a good, nice, clean race. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out before we let you get back to your celebrating?
Say hi to my mum and dad watching. Hi to my girlfriend Maria, who's probably gone to bed. But yeah, here we go.
Well, congratulations again, and hopefully we see you up here next week for another interview.
All right, thanks, guys.
That was your P3 finisher, Bobby West, and Daniel. I think, did you find a Tom Edwell?
I did indeed, sir. Now, Tom, what an absolutely colourful race. Certainly in the last few laps, it got very, very interesting for that Masters battle. We saw Bradshaw was in the lead. He had a little bit of a whoops. Jörg Manny then took it, and then Jörg ran out of fuel. So tell us a little bit about what was going through your mind as all of this unfolded.
Well, I wasn't aware that Jörg had run out of fuel. I'm not sure. I couldn't work out why he disappeared, but I didn't even know I was battling for the lead at that stage. The Masters category was a case of everybody making more mistakes than me. So I'll call it a Stephen Bradbury win.
Well, definitely a very, very colourful event indeed, and certainly some good points for you there in the Masters Championship. But Tom, I got to ask before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Well, obviously Steve Ray for organising this whole thing, Jason for being the group leader, you guys for broadcasting. It's always fun to watch, and look, the whole crowd, everyone here is good fun to race with. It's why I do it.
Well, I've got to say, a 42-car field, ladies and gentlemen. What an absolutely astonishing field. But Tom Gradwell, you are one of our Australian drivers, and we did discuss it very briefly earlier. What time is it where you are in your part of the world?
Well, it's now 7 a.m, but I get up at 4:30 for the practice, so that's my early morning of the week.
Well, I've got to say, if you're looking for dedication, ladies and gentlemen, this man's got it. Tom Gradwell with a very well-deserved Masters win.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. Well, Randall, let's get ready to close this broadcast out. I am going to have to watch it back after it and see exactly what's been going on. Certainly a little bit of troubleshooting to be done on the production side. But can you give us some of your closing thoughts as we head towards the end of the show?